with The Hunt, obviously, if people don't know, like, what happened, that movie was supposed to be released around, like, a certain time. I think it was, like, in October of, like...
Didn't it come out in, like, February
last
or
year
something like that?
of, like, 2019, yeah. And then there was, like, a couple mass shootings that happened, like, the week of or something.
And the movie is specifically about hunting a specific political
It just
party.
has, like, guns in it, basically.
Yeah.
And then people were like, fuck, no! And then they were just basically like, oh, okay, we'll push it. And then the whole marketing campaign was kind of based on, like, the most controversial movie you haven't even seen and all this bullshit. And then people, like, use that against the movie to say that it's not even controversial at all, like it's the movie's fault. I think it was actually, like, a brilliant move, like, by the marketing team to kind of, like, I guess, poke fun at the fact that people were freaking out over nothing. Because when you watch the movie, I mean, it's violent, but it's nothing spectacular.
I really...
It's just there's guns, there's politics, there's shooting and explosions and death, and it's, like, not that crazy.
Yeah.
No, it's not, like, the most controversial
But
thing.
people are just sensitive, and I think it's funny that they kind of banked off of that sensitivity.
But what I really appreciate about the movie is it doesn't just poke fun at one kind of people. It kind of pokes fun at everybody a little bit.
It's a sensitive movie just in, like, today's day and age, because, like, it does have... It makes fun of everyone. It's not, like, just... It's not overtly liberal and just making fun of, like, one demographic, and it's making fun of everybody. It's making fun of the extremists, but not just the extremists on one side, because there's extremists on both sides, and it's and because of that, you know, I found it extremely entertaining, and because it takes, like, this more neutral standpoint. Politically, I would say it does. You know, I can't say for sure, but at least to me it feels like it is.
I think so.
It because of that, I think that's why you're seeing people from both political sides of the spectrum, particularly the ones, like, on the farthest sides.
They're the most offended.
They're really pissed off because those are, like, who it's making fun of.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, like, I mean, as much as I like talking about the movie itself, because I do think it's actually, like, a really entertaining, fun movie, but what do you think the movie itself, you know, like, kind of, like, what do you think its importance is right now? Because for me personally, I think a movie like The Hunt, even though it's really goofy, really bloody, and people might just kind of write it off, it is just being that. How do you think it's important today, or do you think it's important at all?
Well, I mean, I would want to preface by saying, I mean, I think... Not even preface. I don't know why I said that. But, like, I think it's obvious that, like, nowadays, I don't think it's any surprise that we're more, like, just, like, divided as a country. Like, whether that's politically or... But, you know... and I think maybe it's just, like, important for a movie to come out where we kind of look at ourselves on either side, just to not maybe not take ourselves quite as seriously, you know, are able to kind of poke fun at ourselves a little bit.
I think it was trying...
I mean, the movie's not, like, entirely like it's not like a Mel Brooks movie. It's not like entirely like a spoof, but it's,
Yeah.
You know, it definitely doesn't...
It has its funny moments.
Yeah. I mean, it has, like, lines here and there where it, like, pokes fun. Like, one of my
plays off the...
One of my favorite lines is the conspiracy theories guy who's like, you know, I shared that with 40, or I forwarded it to 40 different people. It's not like I believed it or anything.
Yeah, I love that.
Which is, like, such a great line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that's a part of it. And then also just, like... I mean, yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And then I think also the cancel culture thing plays a big part of it where, you know... I mean, it is a rarity for a movie to come out that is, like... You know, it's not... I don't know. It's hard for me to explain what I'm trying to say here. You know, it's not afraid to kind of, like... Not leave anybody out of, you know, the rib poking a little bit. I mean, not to make it entirely... Because I wouldn't call this, like, a totally, like, right-wing movie. I don't want to say that, but, like, it's definitely, like, anything even remotely sharing anything like of conservative values, and I'm not saying that because I'm necessarily like a conservative. I don't know if that's important for this conversation that we just
not. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think if you were a liberal having this discussion and saying, "Oh yeah, it's really cool. There's a movie that's just like doesn't literally only pander to me and nobody else." You know what I mean? Like,
and I also want to preface by saying that I personally, if we're gonna have, I feel like I personally like as far as like I'm not a fan of pandering just in general. Yeah. I'm of the belief that there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me, but especially in media, you know, I think it's very common for a lot of movies. I mean, I know we definitely live in a more sensitive time, and I think a part of that is important, but also like there is definitely like I guess my example, but the biggest thing I can think of right now is the Avengers movies. You know, you can tell when a movie studio doesn't really give a shit about the thing that they're trying to pander to. Yeah. They just want to shove it in there because like
shut people
Are you talking specifically about Endgame?
They do it in both movies.
Because here's the thing. I thought it was really well done in Infinity War. Are you talking about the whole, like, women teaming up to...
It wasn't a big deal, but, like, it was so, like, obvious in your face, and I'm like, honestly, this is kind of... I'm surprised, like, people who would consider themselves feminists wouldn't find that offensive. Because it almost, like, insults the intelligence of the audience.
Because I actually liked how it was done in Infinity War, because it was, like, these three women banding together to, like fight someone, and it had a purpose, and it was cool. And then you go to Endgame, where it's like every woman just standing there heroically, like, we're going to help you.
Well, they should have just done it. They should have just fought with each other, instead of having, like, she's not like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, you can tell they wanted to make it as obvious as possible, because they want to appeal to a mass market. And I just think it's, like, it feels gross to me. And I will explain that, like, because it doesn't feel authentic.
Yeah.
There's no way that I believe that. And even if it's true, it just feels like, again, pandering.
Because you're not normalizing it. If you want to treat them like these groups that want to be normalized and seen as equal, which they should be treated how, let's say, the opposite group would be treated. Like, if you have a gay character in your movie, you're not going to be like, I'm gay, because you're not...
And that becomes their character.
And that's their character, because you're not going to have a character that's like, I'm straight. If you just play them casually throughout the movie as a person who happens to be gay, but that is not their character...
It's not a plot point, it's not a... Yeah. You know,
you're normalizing.
Because then it feels like the movie has to like be like, hey, did you notice this character is a person of color or has a... You know, has a gay sexual orientation.
Yeah.
You know, like it's...
Because...
I mean, I think representation is fine, but we have not figured out how to not make it, like eye-roll worthy.
Right, because on the flip side, if you did that in Avengers Endgame where all the men stood together, and it'd be like, come on. Either way.
And when you think about it, like that whole scene, like, I think you could say it for both. Like, the whole... And we're talking about specifically when the... Which characters? It was like...
Are you talking about in Infinity War?
Yeah, sure. Because I guess they're both different scenes. But again, it felt weird that they did the same scene twice.
I just think Infinity War did it well. I think they just had them fight, and then it was a quick little snippet in the fight.
But if you were in a fight, would you stop to have, like, a feminist moment? Like,
right,
you would,
so
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it doesn't make any sense.
I don't think Endgame works. I think Infinity War works. I kind of wanted to go back to your original question, which is what we thought... I'm sorry, could you say it again? I kind of had a...
Why we think, like, a movie like The Hunt or movies like The Hunt are important right now.
I think that it was kind of making a comment on the hypocrisy of maybe not necessarily extremists, but I'll just say extremists in this case.
Yeah.
The hypocrisy of extremists where they're like, oh, I'm going to cancel this person, I'm going to cancel this person. Oh my gosh, you're canceling me? No, you can't do that. I do the canceling. You can't cancel me. Or like the fact where it's like, wait, we're hunting you. You can't hunt us. We're hunting you. Or it doesn't go both ways.
Or how you go so far in one direction that you become what you're trying to fight against.
I think it's trying to point out the hypocrisy in people saying, I'm going to do this, but you can't do it to us. because if we're all equal, it should go both ways. And if you don't want it to go if you don't want it to go your way, then don't do it.
I mean, I think just in general, like, we take ourselves way too seriously, just
Absolutely.
like in general, and we don't know how to like kind of poke fun at ourselves every once in a while.
As far as the Avengers thing goes, I think the big difference between Infinity War and Endgame and how they handle those two scenes is that you can watch Infinity War and watch that scene and really not think twice about it. It feels...
I didn't really the
it
first
feels,
time I saw
it feels...
Exactly. That's the point.
Yeah, it feels...
But the fact that they did it again, like, it's the same... She says the same line.
Yeah.
Verbatim.
Pretty much.
And it's like, oh, come
It's
on.
close. I think Infinity War is she's got...
It's more natural, I feel like.
They say she's not alone in both movies.
She's got help, and then the second one is she's not alone, I think.
I don't remember.
Anyway, Infinity War...
It just felt pandering, and it felt gross. It felt like corporate Hollywood trying to, like, get a certain part of their audience. It didn't feel genuine. I don't fall for any corporation that's like, we stand with Black Lives Matter. Okay. No, you don't. Not really. It doesn't mean anything to me because you're a corporation and you're just trying to, like, pander to a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's
because you don't want people to stop using your product or whatever.
Right.
Like, it means nothing to me, and I don't understand why people still fall for it.
The Infinity War part feels like it's part of the movie and the scene and important to the characters, and it also happens to be kind of empowering for women if they watch it, because it's like, oh yeah, female characters are awesome, kicking ass, like just like the guy characters. That's cool. We all want that.
Right.
And then you have the Endgame one, where the biggest difference is the movie feels like it's patting itself on the back.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the big difference. It's like it's just like, oh, look at how virtuous we are and progressive. Aren't we
stopping the movie
great?
to point out what you're doing and just do the thing?
It takes you out of the movie. That's the difference between Infinity War and Endgame. Infinity War, it's part of the action. Endgame takes you out of the movie.
Well, like I said, it totally it makes the audience to look like dipshits. Like the fact that you have to pause the movie and be like, look what we're doing,
and it's that falseness, like you said.
And it's not.
You can see right through it.
It's not authentic. It's just like a.
But the sad thing is
a marketing
a lot of people fall for it, and so they're going to continue to do it.
And the reason why I think movies like The Hunt, the reason why I like it is because it's not a movie patting itself on the back for being so progressive and so liberal.
It's making fun of everything,
or even so conservative or whatever. It's not trying to. It's not trying to... It could so have easily leaned in one direction and got so much love and praise from so many people, but instead it took the ballsy route.
Yeah.
And I think more movies need to do that.
You do not see that anymore at all.
As much as I think that we need more like more conservative movies or movies with conservative values because they're lacking so much. Mm-hmm. As much as I think that... I mean, we need more movies like The Hunt that are just moderate and in the middle, because we don't get those anymore either.
Can you guys think
politically speaking, movies that are political and moderate and in the middle, because we get so many, like, all the political movies you see are like so left leaning, and it's just, I can't, it's ridiculous.
Can you think of any other examples of like more moderate political movies?
Honestly,
not in the past not in the past decade, probably.
Not like they come out recently. I mean, we're about to talk about one that I would say is pretty moderate in a second, but But I can't think of many other ones that come out. I mean, I made a list, but most of them are more like conservative movies, and they're few and far between. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I can't think of any. I don't know. I mean, there's patriotic movies that you think wouldn't. Like, why the fuck would a patriotic movie be considered a conservative movie?
Okay,
like a war
I
movie?
have an example.
Like Patriots Day. That's just an American movie, but people put that in the conservative category because it's apparently conservative to be patriotic and be proud of.
Well, that's another thing too. Is we also live in a time where being liberal or being conservative, they both don't mean the same thing that they meant 10 years ago.
And I also want to point out that there are some movies. Unless I'm reading too far into it, there are some movies that actually have hidden conservative values, and it's not really surface level, and you have to really read into it.
Yeah, that's a whole.
So my favorite example is The Dark Knight Rises, because Bane is this anarchist, and everybody's the whole time people are talking about the police department and how corrupt they are in Gotham City and how much they hate them, and then suddenly Bane, the anarchist, comes in, takes over the city, traps all the policemen underground, and then they're
it's
like,
actually pretty relevant to what's
and
going on.
then everybody's like, we need the police,
Yeah.
they've all taken over, we need the police, and it's just that was like, I was like, oh shoot, that's I feel like kind of a conservative
I
hidden
think,
value.
Yeah. And as much as I want to go into that, I really do want to like save the conservative movie conversation for like its own episode, because I think it's interesting enough to like hold its own conversation personally.
Absolutely.
I thought we were gonna have time to like go into it this episode, but like I don't know. I feel pretty passionate about that subject, and there are a lot of movies that I want to go over, and I feel like I kind of want to look into a couple more because I was looking at some lists the other day, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't really think about that, and movies that I haven't seen yet. So.
And the only reason you say that is because like Hollywood is like so like exclusively to one side.
Yeah, and it's retarded.
Part.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that like you would have to. Like, I don't want to do this, you know. Like, I don't want to. Like, I'm not like the type of person that seeks out. Oh man, I only watch conservative movies or whatever. It's just like I'm like I just crave movies with. Like, you know,
you want to see something
opposing
different.
viewpoints.
And,
you know,
here's the issue is if someone who is against your viewpoint hears this audio, they're immediately going to use it against you in any way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. But if you look at it in the opposite way, if there's a lot of conservative movies and there's very few like liberal democratic movies, whatever you want to call it,
exactly.
and then they're upset about it, like you got to, whenever you look at things with a that has a flip side to it, always look at the other side and see how you would feel if you were on the other side of it, but it was your opinion being challenged.
Right. Well, again, we're so divided now that like
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I think
if you're a liberal, there's definitely like again, I think it's going to be hard for us not to just like have like a political discussion, and I just also want to preface by saying I feel like whenever you talk about politics, it is like almost nearly impossible. People try not to, but it is hard not to generalize.
Absolutely.
But it's almost impossible not to.
And that's one thing I hate today is if you are conservative, you're voting for Trump and you're a racist. That's it, and it's ridiculous because
well, yeah, if you're okay, so. If you're a liberal or a Democrat, whatever you want to call it,
is there a difference between liberal and Democrat? Somebody might hate me for that question, but I genuinely don't know.
I don't know. Again, people generalize so much now.
It's true,
yeah. And they mean different things now. I mean, yes and no.
I don't hate people with my opposing view.
People
at all.
who are Democrat tend to be more liberal, whatever you would consider more liberal. People who are Republican tend to be more conservative.
Yeah.
And then you have third parties. But anyway, that's a whole other discussion.
We should go back to the old days when we had like the Whig Party.
I just think it's important that for every American sniper we get a vice.
Yeah.
And, you know, we need I want a balance. I want to see movies.
Hollywood
better
should
than
be balanced.
movies that don't play to either side.
Exactly.
You know, I feel like you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Not every movie needs to be political either. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Right.
But like obviously we're getting, you know, there's a lot of political movies and there's a lot of politically opinionated people in Hollywood making movies, and it just seems like we're only getting them from one direction.